Vietnam. I am in the Max Cruise yard, and right behind me here, this big, huge hull is their new 55-foot. So we're here to show you their 48-foot, probably 6 weeks from launching now. So Matt and I are gonna head over there and take a look at that. And then also their first 55-foot is underway. So it's absolutely amazing the living space that you gain just for the couple extra feet. So come along with us as we show you all of the exciting projects going on here. The lunch bell has just rang, so we've got 1 hour of quiet time to take you through as much as we can.
Unreal. This is about 6 weeks away from launching. Kind of shows you what professionals actually are capable of doing versus Jess and I, because I think we're at this stage right now in our build, equivalent stage. And the fact that they're going to be able to finish that up in 6 weeks. Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the Max Cruise 48. This is hull 1.
Hull 1, you'll see it's of course 4 feet longer, it's about 2 feet wider, but the difference in space is unreal. Come on board.
First thing we notice big difference is the forward cockpit.
Optional forward cockpit. So you can choose this with or without that setup, depending on what your needs, wants are. Personally, I think I would take it. Wasn't a fan of the forward cockpit before, but now after playing with it and being aboard enough boats with them at anchor and stuff, it just seems like a great option. Of course, you get great ventilation then because you can keep that door open. The way that Max Cruise has set it up, you'll see down in the floor here, there's a massive scupper. That whole area gets cut out and kind of just a little mesh goes over the top of that. So any of the water that comes in here can immediately flow back out. So no issue with that whatsoever. But still for offshore, it's a give or take if that will be the best option. And then incredible solar. Things that they've changed between this and the 44. If you notice our cabin top on the 44, this seam comes in a lot further where that chine is, where that angle changes. By moving that further outboard, it's given a lot of flat space up here. Currently, it's set up for, I think, 3,800 watts of solar. Plenty, because these boats will also have the hybrid propulsion system with them. So electric, you can do electric on one side, hybrid on the other, like what we're doing, or you can do even full electric if you really want it. But it does give you a ton of solar without even hanging anything else off the back.
And look at the sexy handrail shaped.
The curved rail.
Look at this.
Yeah. So even with just that 2 foot of extra width, the 4 feet in length, we're seeing a big difference in the space between the galley, the settee here, so a big U-shaped settee that's going to be in this area. And the 44 is probably, I think it is actually the largest salon area and galley area on any 44-foot boat. And the way the Max Cruise did that is by pushing the cabin sides out quite a bit. And it's already a pretty beanie boat just in general. Now when we start talking about the 48, that extra 2 feet, an extra 4 foot of depth here, we see that mostly in this cabin area. And just so you know, all of these areas are going to be veneered. So all the furniture will have wood trim around it. The doors, of course, will be all wood trim as well. That gets added after the interior gets sprayed. Around the nav desk, around this area up here. The only things that won't have it basically are the bulkheads. They wanted to keep that nice and bright here. Yeah, this is incredible how close they are already. To give you an idea of what that looks like, we asked them to put this in place. This is just a rough thing of what that veneer will look like. So you get an idea of all these different spaces, how that wood is going to look in there. Storage forward of here, you can have a wine locker if you want to, a wine cooler, massive amount of space. This will not be veneered, so it's going to blend in then with the bulkhead and not be visually obtrusive. Over here, will be veneered around this area, I believe around here as well for the nav desk. But as you can see, great visibility all the way around, nice little workspace here, chart plotter, all your controls for everything, and some of it will be electrical duplicates of over in that area as well. Seems like a very nice space to be able to sit there and make passage. Massive galley space in here. 2 fridges, either side, same type of thing. But it's a cool setup with this because of course someone can be over on this side if they want to, chop vegetables or whatever. You have all this extra space, but it's still very usable in a seaway. It's not too big that you have to worry about falling all over the place. You can still brace yourself, chop, do whatever you need. Very large settee, and they did keep it actually a U shape. So many times they've gone to just like an L shape and you lose a bunch of that space. This, a lot of depth to it. You can fit a whole group of people around here. It's raised up so you get great visibility, 360-degree visibility, except for that little portion right there where the helmet is, but you do have really good visibility from here. You're not isolated at all, so you still have conversations there. It's just a really nice setup.
This is the owner's hall.
Yep. And I apologize, guys, I don't have lights in here right now, so it's kind of hard to see, but hopefully we can brighten it up in Premiere Pro. Yeah. So there's a ton of space through here. Just trying to give you the impression of space. I don't know what that really is doing at all, but yeah, but so absolute ton of space through this setup. Same setup that we have, or same layout that we have. Toilet here, vanity, shower area, and then additional storage up here and access to one of the emergency hatches right up there.
And still lots of space within the head and, of course, the washer.
The Daewoo.
The Daewoo.
Yep. Back here's the big change. Yeah, unbelievable width walking through here. Dagger board case, which really doesn't impede the space at all. You can, of course, get this with mini keels or dagger boards. This particular one, hull one, went with a dagger board setup. Has a nice vanity here. Then this area, this will be wood, of course, wood veneer there, wood veneer here, top, bottom. So it's gonna break up that space, so it's not gonna be as bright as what we see in here right now. Still a queen size bed on this side.
With a few cabinets off to the side, good using space, and you know, shelving for phones or whatever things you just want to keep next to your bed.
In the back, there is going to be a cutout. There's going to be a hatch back there as well, besides the headboard. So you do get that difference in light. And of course, we don't have the hatches in here yet either. So right here in the owner's berth, this is going to be the battery storage for the hybrid system. And then along this face is going to be your electrical panel. So you get great access through here if you do need to work on anything, just right here. And it's in the owner's hall, so no one will screw with it, is the most important thing. Back up, down. Now this is a 3-cabin version, similar to the way ours is set up, but what they've done is they've broken up the head into 2 different positions here. So you'd have toilet here. This can be used as a wet head if you want to. Otherwise, the actual intent is this to be toilet, sink in here, and then your shower area over here.
As well as access to the water maker.
Yep, the water pumps, all the wet stuff is in the shower area and right behind it. So when you do need to change a filter, it's gonna be able to drain right directly overboard without that problem of getting a nice dry surface wet. And aft, we do have another queen berth. Again, gonna be a cutout there for a hatch, but it gives you an idea of that space. And most likely, the way that will work for guests when they're aboard is they're actually gonna use primarily the forward berth. That's a transverse berth. This will be for the third set of guests, ones that you wanna leave the soonest. And then the forward transverse berth. This is a queen size bed as well. We do get a little bit more width up there at the head. There will be a hatch above that as well. And then another configuration, you can turn this into another head if you want that. This particular owner chose to make it into just a storage hanging locker and a workshop. Same thing that we saw on the 44. With the emergency hatch here, hatches above and stuff, you get actually great ventilation through here. So it works well if you're gonna be using this as an actual workshop. It can be put into a desk if you want an office space too. Really, it's a versatile space that, you know, every owner is gonna pick out what they really want within the boat. One of the big changes that they made with the 48 is something that Jess and I have gone back and forth. It is really, do you dedicate the boat for pure performance or cruisability? The big change on this is the fineness ratio. They ended up going to a 10-to-1 ratio, which is in line with what you see with like Balance and with like Outremer that they use on their cruising catamarans, versus the 44, which is a 12.5-to-1. So we're very, very narrow hulls on that. It's something that gives you a bit more payload, gives you a little bit wider of hulls, so you're able, of course, more space in it as well. And it seems to be a very good compromise. Now, because of the added length of this, it's probably going to perform the same as what our 44 does. Overall speeds, acceleration, that kind of stuff will be similar because waterline really does win. So anyone that looked at the 44 and thought, you know what, I'm looking more for a cruising boat than pure performance type of thing, that I'm going to be carrying payload. I want to have that dive compressor with me. I want to have those toys that can cruise with. This is definitely the design for that because it does have that added width in it. Where ours, the 44, is a little bit more performance oriented, so a little bit thinner of hulls, means you can't carry all those toys with you. This is definitely the cruiser package.
Which for cruisability, just kind of great living space, leads us out to the cockpit, which but I'll let Matt go over that too.
Yeah. And this is the big change back here in the cockpit. What they've done is, because of that wider beam, that different payload hull design with this, they can push this area a little bit further back without getting the stern squat. So where we have that little duck board, that little walkway, they were able to move this beam just a little bit further aft, which that, along with the 4-foot difference in length, the 2-foot in width, makes for a massive cockpit in here.
With features like built-in sinks, built-in barbecues.
So they were also able to, because you have this big L-shaped settee here, you have the one here, they're able to dedicate the helm just to being a helm and some additional storage. Where we were trying to get the best of both worlds and still have seating over here, it's not necessary on this design. As you can see, this is getting roughed in currently, still trying to figure out the details, but it does have the Jeffa, the canting helm down here. Quite a bit of space. You are going to be able to have the chart plotter built into it, which is a difference that we have, a compromise we had to make because we don't have that space up here that you do. Storage, life raft storage, storage here. This will be, you can see this is going to end up being a cooktop or a grill, the new Kenyan induction. And then we do have a sink over on this side. Again, roughed in at this point. Additional storage. And depending on how you power the boat will dictate where the engines are placed in this. So a straight diesel, if you want just 2 diesels, they would be in this area through the beam there. And it can be a sail drive if necessary. Otherwise, they can do a shaft drive, and that would be below the 2 aft berths, just like what we have on our boat. And that's going to be for the hybrid system because they need to be able to move that forward and get that weight further that direction. So that, of course, is only going to be offered in the shaft drive, and that's going to be located in those areas.
On here, we've got a much wider cockpit seat, and what Terry was just coming up with, as Matt was saying, they're kind of mocking pieces, is there's a step up to the cabin top. So instead of trying to walk around where the steps usually are by the mast, very easy access here, and some extra space to like lean against, brace if you need to.
They were truly building this and working on this yesterday, so it is still infancy at this point. But you can see the Zeus, the BNG display will be here built in. You have your displays for the engine controller, for the hybrid system, the throttle right here, and an idea of what the deck hardware is going to be. None of this is completely finalized yet, but I think they're pretty close to how this is set up.
Now let's go take a look at the 55-foot, which isn't quite as finished as this, so you have to use your imagination a little bit more, but even between these two, the difference in size, it's gonna be amazing. Okay. Wow.
This is fun. This is a completely custom 55. This is hull number 1. This owner has taken liberties with the design and changed just about everything. Hull 2 is going to be the conventional design, and that is just a larger version of the 48. This we're going to walk through right now though and show you kind of the changes that he's made. Massive forward cockpit space here. The owner wanted this extended over to offer some more sun protection. Coming inside is where you notice the biggest change. He's actually gotten rid of the aft cockpit completely, extended the cabin sides all the way down, so it's kind of an indoor-outdoor living space here. Even the helm is located inside. And yes, it's a singular helm. This is the one position here. In the middle here will be kind of an island. All the halyards, all the sheets, everything will lead into this, which will have 2 or 3 electric winches to be able to control that all right from the inside, right from inside the boat. Helm from there, we end up walking through storage. Now, currently this is completely open just so they have access to it, but it is the owner's berth right below here. Massive dinette over on this side, full table gonna come out. And then over on this side, we end up having more of just a lounge. It's just gonna be a coffee table, but you still have tons of seating. The windows will slide open, so you still have some good ventilation rolling through here. And then there is, I kind of lied, there is a little bit of aft cockpit, but not much. This is more just to be able to walk port and starboard, and it gives you access, so if you're running a spinnaker, you still are sheeting it and controlling it aft here. And then, of course, to lead down, a little bit of seating here, not big, but majority of that is going to be inside. Windows on either side, those drop down, and actually it does it in the front too. The windows will be able to fold down and retract there, so you'll have tons of ventilation coming through here. With the extended cabin top, with all the shade protection in here, it is going to be a very nice livable space, probably awesome at anchor, just a bit of a different design. So the hull 2 of the 55 is again going to be closer to that 48. There's a bulkhead that runs right here. The rest of this is going to be all aft cockpit. This particular boat, this is now all galley space. Huge galley, huge island on this side. Kind of a little breakfast bar going to be over here. And then, of course, tons of galley space there. Additional nav desk if you want to. But again, remember, it's helming from there, and majority of your navigation stuff is going to be located over there. But it does give another option.
Going down into the owner's hall now.
Down into the owner's hall. This particular boat, the hull width is the same as what's on the 48. So we're 7 foot longer, but the exact same hull width. It is going to be a very, very fast boat. The owner wanted additional heads. There's an additional head here. The incredible island berth. Massive space here. It's a king size bed. Good access from either side. It is midship, so center of the boat basically. So it's going to be probably the least amount of motion that you'll have on the boat.
Plus the height matches the window, so you'll be able to see the beautiful water views from your bed.
Good headroom in here still. Aft is the owner's head. So shower area, toilet, I think there. Vanity, that kind of stuff. And forward is the largest closet I've ever seen on a boat. I've never seen anything like this before. All hanging locker, storage drawers everywhere. It probably has 1,000 pounds worth of drawer hardware in here, but
it can handle it.
It can handle it. So tons of space. Definitely utilized every little inch of that. But the problem is, I know Jess and I, if we had all of the storage space, we'd fill it full of clothes and other crap, and then the boat would not perform. So I'm glad we don't have that much storage.
Okay.
Down into the port hall. And this has been changed. This is a laundry area. They ended up moving this bulkhead further forward because he wanted some additional storage in here. Still a really nice guest head. Toilet, sink, of course, vanity, and the shower area there. Hanging locker, additional storage for the guests, and then a nice island berth, which is a queen size.
As well as nice inboard storage units there for your guests.
And just like in the 48, I really anticipate your guests are probably going to use this, the transverse berth. And he chose to have a little bit more cockpit space, the forward cockpit space. And so what that did is that pushed the bed out. The conventional plan is to have about this much walk-room space forward to here. This would get pushed in a little bit further, but these boats are so customizable, and Terry's too willing to customize the boats that they ended up doing all that adjustment because that's what the owner wanted.
Stop it, Terry.
Yeah. And then forward of that is the storage and the head for this berth.
So they kind of have an ensuite setup here, going their own private head attached to their bedroom.
Shower, toilet, sink, storage back there as well, along with storage in here. So I do think this is going to be, if you have a guest aboard, this is going to be the berth that they'll use, and then kids probably aft. So with all the changes made on this, I'm really excited for this boat to launch and actually go out and sail it. It's going to be interesting working on from the helm inside, be able to sit there and do everything right here without actually having to get out in that rainy, gross weather. The way this one's going, this is again hull 1, but with all the customization, this boat's actually going to launch after hull 2 of this. So we'll go out and we'll probably sail both of them and see back to back what those changes did. Now we're back on the 48.
So we've toured all 3 boats in production now with Max Cruise. And these are just their sailing versions because you can still get power versions of a few of them, but we're just amazed. It's been close to 2 years since we've been here now. Of course, the evolution with the 44, but then seeing the potential of the 48 and the 55. I really think that's where the market's going.
The 48 is going to be the big seller. The 44, we've always said, is kind of a compromise boat. It is definitely performance oriented. Just because of the space that's available in it, it's actually still a good cruising boat. But the 48 is pretty much no compromise. You have
you're gonna have
great
everything.
cruisability, you have the speed that's potential with it, the payload that we were talking about, and just the space is unbelievable.
So in our description, we're going to have Terry's information if you want information on it. Hull 2 currently doesn't have an owner. It could be Nancy's next boat, which is Terry's wife, but right now there is nobody set to take it. So if you would like to have one of these great 48-foot boats, early 2025.
We do anticipate that's going to be a launch date. Again, this one's about 6 weeks away. Hull 3, the new owners for that are scheduling in June of 25, so I believe Hull 2 is available.